Prince. Now, Saucony Prince drove 5 hours to get here. And you've seen Saucony Prince doing Motivational Mondays, right? And he's kind of behind the camera, and he does those every single week. So I'm going to ask Saucony Prince, to give us 2 minutes or what?
You know, on the Happy Entrepreneur Show, I have an opportunity to do the Motivational Mondays. And one of the things that we say is, today is my January 1st. Today is my January 1st. I was sharing with Brother Bedford earlier today about how I got to where I am today. It was actually in 2012. I was at the Power Networking Conference in Dallas, Texas. My company got selected to be a part of a Quick Pitch Business Olympics. And while I was on stage talking about my then 3D animation company, I had an epiphany. And my epiphany was that the words that I was sharing could be used for more than selling a product or service, but they could be used to help uplift and change people's lives. And I told people, I said, there are 3 things you can learn by being on the wrong mountain. The first thing you can learn is, okay, look, this is not it. I can scratch this off my list. This is not where I'm supposed to be. But even being halfway up the wrong mountain, you can find the right one. And that's what happened to me. In 2012, while I was on stage talking and trying to sell my 3D animation company, I realized I'm supposed to be encouraging people. I saw the right mountain. And see, so many people don't even start climbing. They'll stay right where they are. They'll stay in the valley, but there's a better view. Even from the wrong mountain, you can see the right one. Well, the third thing is, once you've identified your right mountain, it's not going to take you that long to get up it. Why? Because you have mountain climbing skills. There's stuff you learn even climbing the wrong mountain that you can take with you to your new mountain, to where you're supposed to be. So when we talk about today as our January 1st, for me, back in 2012, that was my January 1st. That was that moment I had the epiphany of, like, I'm not doing the right thing, but I see the right thing. So now I just had to make a shift. And so many people really don't, they are afraid of doing that. They are afraid of taking that step to go after their goals and dreams, but nothing is holding you back but your own fear. Your own fear of failure. But you know what? People ask me, Saucony, why are you so impassioned? Why are you so passionate about what you're doing? Because it's really not about me. It's about the people that I'm sent to impact. My coach asked me what was the highlight of my summit this year, and I said it was my keynote, but not because I was giving it, but because I had a chance to look in the faces of everybody that I was talking to. I had a chance to see the light bulb come off. I had a chance to see them smiling and nodding their head. I had a chance to see them getting it. And because of that, that really helped me understand I was on the right mountain. So what about you? Are you where you're supposed to be? Are you doing that thing that you know deep down inside is your calling? Because if you're not, you're quite frankly wasting your time. You're quite frankly wasting. Somebody is waiting for you to show up. And I don't care what it is. It may not be on stage, it may not be in front of a camera, but there's somebody waiting for you because you are the aspirin to somebody's headache. And I want you to understand, if you don't show up, somebody's going to be starving for what you have. They're already hungry for it now, but they're waiting for you. When I show up, they tune me out. But when you show up with your gift, your abilities, and your talent, you feed them what they need. They won't listen to me, but they'll listen to you. My job, my passion, is to help you discover yours. Listen, I want you to look to your neighbor and I want you to tell them to show up. Show up. No. You looked at the wrong person. Tell the other person, show up. Show up. Why do we need to show up? We need to show up not just for ourselves, but for our children. Back in 2017, I was doing my annual summit, and I was actually had it at a hotel that was less than a mile from my home. And you know, of course, when you're that close, you always forget something. When you have to go hundreds of miles away, you think of everything. You bring everything with you. But because I was so close, I left something at the house. Not intentionally, but accidentally. And I was like, okay, look, I need to run home and grab this real quick. And while I was doing that, my den, he was 10 years old then. He said, Dad, in fact, can I ride with you? I'm like, yes, son, come on. And so we hopped in the car, and I'm thinking, 100 things are running through my head, and I'm thinking to myself what I need to get. And without being prompted, without being in a conversation, my 10-year-old son says to me, he looks at me and he says, Dad, I'm proud of you. Now, I was going 30 miles an hour. Now, believe it or not, I was going 30 miles an hour to get to my house, but in that moment, I stopped. because I realized something. He was watching. You know, you can tell your children day in and day out, you know, you can do anything you want to do, you can be anybody you want to be, but why can't they sit across the table from their heroes? Why do they have to be on TV? Why do they have to be in magazines and in the movies when you realize that your children are watching? Your nieces and your nephews, your grandchildren, in fact, the people in your churches and in your schools, they're watching you. So when you want to show up, not just for yourself, but show up for them. In that moment, I realized it's not just enough for me to tell him he can do anything you want to do, but he need a record. He need to look back and say, my dad, even though, and see, this is the thing. When they see the people in the movies, when they see them on the poster, in fact, when they see them on the billboards, they don't know the struggle. They just see the shiny stuff. They don't know the grind that they had to go through. And see, with him being in the house, with him knowing everything that we've gone through, it gives him a clear picture of what it means, of what success truly looks like. So again, we need to show up, not just for ourselves, but for those in our life. But we do that by showing up for our life. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to hear our next speaker. Because I tell you, with him and his brand of showing up for your life, it has me excited. Because not only did that incident with my son help me, but just hearing him and his story, hearing how he crafts everything that he does, it helps me to know that I have to show up. My goodness, I'm so grateful to be here again to share with you a quick story about my oldest son. I know I talked about my youngest son earlier, but my oldest son, he had an opportunity to be in a video contest with Damian Dash. Yeah, I know who Damian Dash is, you know, one of the co-founders of Rockefellers. He had an opportunity to be in a video contest, and he was shooting a video that was going to be submitted and judged as to whether or not it would be selected as the winner for Damian Dash's contest. While he shot the video, he kept saying to himself, what would my dad do? Now, he didn't tell me this beforehand. He told me this after he found out that he won. And yes, they flew him out to L.A. to actually shoot a video. They flew him back out to L.A. to screen the video. They flew him back out to L.A. to premiere the video. His name, he actually goes by the name of Bama Boy Buck. And when he told me after he won, he said, I just kept thinking to myself, what will my dad do? Again, that reminds me of legacy. That reminds me of living in front of our children in such a way to where they can walk in our footsteps. They can actually follow us as we are leading the way. So that means that we have to step aside and actually get past our own fear of failure. I was telling a young man that was sitting next to me earlier, I said, look, either we win or we learn. It's only a loss if you leave the lesson. So many of us, we want to get past our failure so quickly that we forget the lesson that we actually experienced in it. Some of us don't even look for the lesson. We don't even take the time to see, was there something I'm supposed to learn from this? Either whether it's a relationship, whether it's with a business, whether it's with a decision that we've made. If we don't learn the lesson, we can consider it a loss. But what I want you to understand, and those that are watching online, I want you to understand this, that you can have continuous victory if you are learning from your failures. There are some things that you just can't learn in school. You have to go through. And as I was talking to my son and as he was sharing that with me, I really started to tear up on the inside because it showed me just how important it is for us to live our life in front of our children. To live our life in such a way to where they can actually say, my father or my mother did this. And because they did it, I can do the same. With that, my name is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal. We're introducing you to yourself, and thank you, Shay.
Let's give it up. Let's give it up for Sakoni Prince. 2 minutes or less, he made it happen. Nothing but power coming from Sakoni Prince.